Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Parakura Haramia. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Greetings. I rise to speak on the Whanganui Whanganui Kaitoke prison in the northern part of Whanganui Forest on account settlement bill. And I'd like to recognise the Minister for delaying this bill, but certainly am encouraged that we have got here tonight and that he's showing a bit of fettle and he's going to cut through. I do recall in the 9 years that we were in there, we set up 11 settlements that were very close, that just needed a nod and a pat and they would have been finished. And he's hardly done any of it. He's hardly done any of it. But in relation to this, we're getting to the end, and certainly in bipartisan nature, we know how to stick to partnerships and not jump ship like some of the people around here. We certainly are encouraged for those people in the Whanganui area, and it really is important to recognise those people, the Southern Cluster and Tupō, and also the effort that Ngāti Apa put in. The Minister's gone. I'll talk to him when he's gone. Ngāti Apa put in, Mr. Speaker.
Order. It's not in keeping to mention someone has left the House. We all have to at some stage or other, and I'd refer the member to Speaker's Ruling 24/8. Call the Honourable Parakura Haramia.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for correcting me. Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party is supporting this legislation. It results from work begun by the previous Labour government. That's right. And I want to stretch it out a bit, because a fair bit of this settlement is on behalf, and it is pre the agreement between the parties. So it's quite a new situation. And if this minister got his into gear, he could do a whole lot more. The bill gives effect to the deed of an account settlement that was signed by the Working Party of the Southern Whanganui Cluster and Tupō on behalf of Whanganui iwi. And there were tensions, and I want to say again that Ngāti Apa needs to be recognised for the efforts that they put in to allow and to help this to come to a decent end. These are allocations in advance, and there is some peculiarity about allocating the forest, because this forestry, standing alone, was owned by MEF, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. So that's surprising. You find these things out, and they are dug out as the settlement goes along. And certainly the handing of the ownership of that over to this to the iwi is a wonderful advance. There's half ownership of the land under the prison of the Kaitoke prison that's given to the cluster here, and the other half is with Ngāti Apa. And I suppose again that Ngāti Apa's efforts in relation to helping this bill to get to where it is today is something that has to be recognised. Mr. Speaker, one of the bigger issues in relation to this settlement, and it has some dynamic relevance to some of the behaviour of people who want to get into this House at the moment, in relation to putting the H in Whanganui and the unnecessary debates that went on through some factions who really thought to create tensions between the peoples, Māori and non-Māori. You know, about saying that this was a bastardisation of the language. It was terrible. One person on the radio, one person who went and rolled somebody to become the leader even though he wasn't a member, and seems to be revisiting the nasty notions of scratching that racist itch. It is a wonderful thing. It is a wonderful achievement that the Crown and these people have come to agreement in relation to putting the H into the spelling of Whanganui, and that the majority of people accept it. That it may incite some redneckness here and there is something that really we can do without, Mr. Speaker.
Absolutely.
And this is a historical, I think this is a very historical settlement. Apart from the land and settling with those iwi, this language bit in here and recognising one culture in this country is a real advance for us. And allowing the H or supporting the H in Whanganui is a real advance for this country. Because I was surprised when I was having a look at a map of Whanganui today. of Whanganui today, where all these great names were named. And this is what some of the areas in Whanganui are. Springvale, Wembley Park, Castlecliff, Durry Hill, Windsor Park, Poisson Park. This ain't London, this is Whanganui. And the great thing is somebody saw fit in 1860, 1870 to transfer these great names from where the kings and queens' horses run around in the park. I've actually been to Windsor Park. Yeah, I've been there. I've been to Wembley Park too. I've been to Tolaga Park too. But the point is this, that the Māoris have had to put up with this renaming of a lot of their traditional areas, and they have accepted it. They've taken the kids down, they've picnicked at Wembley Park, at Castlecliff, at Windsor Park, at Springvale, all of these great British
named places.
All of these great British named places. And I see the great doctor over there smiling, because he knows this is the truth. And all I want is credence given to the Whanganui Māori, and recognising that through long and hardy tribulations at times, they have seen fit to respect the visitors to this country and recognise their names on a whole lot of areas there. So historically today, we will support putting the H into Whanganui. And we would recognise that you don't play soccer at Wembley Park, you don't have Queens and Kings horses riding around Windsor Park. And what was that other place? Pākaitore, that's right. Pākaitore. Pardon?
That's a nice name.
Oh, no, that's a great Maori name. Pākaitore. That's right. Pākaitore, Windsor Park. Pākaitore, Windsor Park. Now, Pākaitore sounds better. Pākaitore. Because it's of the people, it is of the land, and it is of their language. And that is the issue relevant to putting the H into Whanganui. Don't listen to any of this claptrap about saying it's a waste of time and it shouldn't be done. I want to really recognise this bill. I want to really recognise this legislation, because it's taking us well forward. You see, the Minister was so belittling of my colleague Grant Robertson to chastise him for trying to create the differentiation between, what's that bill?
Royal Society.
Royal Society. Royal Society. That's right, the Royal Society. So these names here smack of our English partners. It smacks of royalty. They're great British names. They're better suited around London City or up the top end where Windsor Park is. But we can live with that, along with Whanganui. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to commend this bill to the House and look forward to Whanganui being painted alongside Windsor Park, Wembley Park, Springvale and Castlecliff. And that Pākaitore may stand forever.
I call the Honourable Tau